Hi, Aaron. How are you doing?
Well, I'm a little frustrated. You know, everything that happened with the live last week. And now when I went to go live, it says it's not streaming to Facebook today. So I got to get in here and figure it out. So
Gonna get in the weeds.
I got to get in the weeds and figure this out. Share with your Facebook friends, but we are live this week at least. If you tried to watch last week, we had some tech issues. We didn't realize it until the show was over. So we did not get a recording. So we'll have those guests back on. It was amazing. We had a great 4-way conversation.
You know, after 5.5 years and hundreds of episodes, you know,
first time it's ever happened.
Do it all.
Well, yeah, no, that's the first time it's ever happened.
No, I know.
Well, I don't know if you know this. So Scott and I sit on a board. It's called KC Can. Peter Maluk from Creative Planning. It's his nonprofit board. It's pretty much our friends. It's our favorite board to sit on. We have one big party a year, kind of like a gala, but it's movie themed, and we get to dress up fun. And then we give all the way. So that's like October. If you're looking for sponsorship, we have some amazing ones. But then in June, we give all the money away. And actually, Brian Hardy from Evardy Construction is also on this board with us. So long story short, we did all the giving away the money June 12th, and we decided it would be so fun to give away the money live. Like we were all in a room together with all these nonprofits. And do you know that all the like AWS and Google Cloud, all that stuff was down, so we couldn't go live. It was down for 30 minutes, and that's the 30 minutes that we went live. First time ever. It was crazy.
Yeah, so you give away to 13 non-for-profits. I think it was like $280,000, but the 30 minutes we gave away, it was not live. That's funny. Well, you know what? Evardy Construction is always giving back. Obviously, if anyone's been to the Down Syndrome Guild or Big Brothers Big Sisters here in Kansas City, that's just a little bit of their work. And obviously, Bestway International, tariffs are still cooking. And so to get something inside the United States is a little difficult. And Aaron knows a little bit about the show that they do.
Yeah. So Cargo Cafe, go follow Bestway International's LinkedIn page. They do a live show like this once a month called Cargo Cafe that really focuses on for businesses getting your stuff here, some of the tariff stuff. Every month it's whatever's really, really neat, what you need to know if you own a business that is shipping materials, shipping parts, shipping anything. Cargo Cafe covers it. You can ask your questions live. So go make sure that you follow. That's usually, I think it's the third Wednesday of every month. So go right now. You can go and say you want to go. It'll remind you when the show's coming. You can register, and it's wonderful. They're doing some good work.
Amen. So with that being said, the good news is, you know, the people, no one comes here for us, they come here for our guests. But you know, with Facebook being down, I think, I'm not going to profile anyone, but I think all 4 of us are on Facebook.
I don't know. It's the one social media.
I'm saying we're a little old.
Facebook is down, but it wouldn't let us live stream to it for the 2 seconds we were trying to go on the live stream. So
they're probably like, you know, just with these old people, you know, what are we going to do with them?
I mean, it's kind of my job. I don't feel like I don't understand it, but you know, technology is great when it works, right? So here we go.
Let's dance.
First of all, I apologize for the music. It's been 5 years, and every week I change it, and I never do. It's finding commercial for music that I work for the 15 years. Good job. But my favorite was to play it. This week we have Janet and Ryan. There we are. Hi, guys.
Woo. Hello.
We are so excited you're here, and we're just going to jump right into it. So, Janet, who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City?
Oh, my gosh. My name is Janet Breitenbach. I am a partner and executive coach at an executive coaching firm called Novus Global. We started about 10 years ago. We went from having about 5 coaches about 10 years ago to now having 40 plus coaches all over the US and Canada. We have clients all over the world. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. Always said I would never, ever leave, but I happened to meet a great guy, also by the name of Ryan, not this Ryan on the call. And he convinced me. He was born and raised on the Kansas side of Kansas City, Shawnee, somewhere over on that side of town. And he started putting in my ear many, many years ago when we met. Kansas City is a great place to be. And finally, I was like, I think you're right. And so we moved here about a year and a half ago. How did I end up in Kansas City? Yeah, he got some great opportunity to work. He's a cinematographer. He gets a lot of work through VML, which is one of the largest ad agencies in the world. I didn't know this, that it's headquartered in Kansas City, which is really cool. And then I work from home, and I have clients over Zoom, or I fly to my clients all over. And I'm looking for the timer, and I don't see it anymore because I want to stay in my 3-minute mark. So
Technology is great when it works. See?
Oh, okay. I was like, where did it go? Where did it go?
It must be something going on with the stream, because usually that's too many things. It must be something with the internet.
Okay, gotcha. So who are you? What do you do? How did you end up in Kansas City? That's my little summary. So now I live in downtown Kansas City, West Side North neighborhood. I walk to Goat Hill Coffee almost every single day. So you can almost always find me there if you want to run into me at Goat Hill Coffee.
Janet, how did you scale your business from when you started to where it is today?
Man, there's probably a million different answers to that. It was 5 of us. And honestly, Jason Jagged, our CEO and founder, he had this crazy idea that we could go further faster if we did it together. Coaching tends to be a solopreneur game. It tends to be very competitive, but he had this idea, what if we all actually advocated for each other's success more, or as much as our own? Could we actually become masterful or develop mastery in the realm of executive coaching by learning to do things together? So one of the things that we're really proud of is that we're a team that coaches teams. And I think that we provide an incredible product/service. We partner with our clients. We advocate fiercely for our clients, and then they go and tell other people. So most of our marketing started word of mouth. And now, of course, as we've scaled, we have a whole executive team. We have a CRO, a CMO, all of that. But it really started with just us doing really great work and people telling other people.
So do you have clients? I assume most of your stuff you do is like through virtual, right? So do you have clients all over? And what did that conversation look like? Because usually we start working with people in our neighborhood, right? And then you majorly did a big move. So what did that look like?
Yeah, in fact, when I started as a solo coach, before I even met Jason and we started the firm, a lot of my clients were Los Angeles based, and I grew up doing a variety of jobs in LA, but I was also an actress, an improviser, a director, a comedian, all of that. So a lot of my clients were in the entertainment industry. Artists, writers, directors. That was my client base at the very beginning of building my practice. And now it's gone to, I have clients all over in different industries, anything from sports organizations to manufacturing companies, to marketing companies, to architecture firms, all over. And really that's just the grace of the mentors I had around me who taught me everything that I knew. And so I've gotten a chance to work with CEOs who are in charge of 700 people at companies that are making millions of dollars. And so now my roster looks very, very different than it did when I started out in LA. And now I have clients all over the US.
I love this. I have a kid that's going to college this year for acting. So I love that there's a future after that.
Yes.
I hope he makes it.
Yes. Well, and honestly, I did a lot of improv comedy, which I recommend to anyone just for basic life skills. I feel like I definitely use a lot of the principles in improv in my everyday life as well. So
we just got his first semester's classes, and one of them is Intro to Improv. Improv 101. I think
it's incredible. It's so fun.
College experience.
It's so fun.
All right, Ryan, who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City?
I'll start with the last one, and I think the easiest. I'm a lifer, and so I was born in Overland Park and went to Shawnee Mission South. Eventually, migrated to KU and hung out with Scott in our mature years, at those times. And since then, I've always been someone that pre-COVID even was prepped for it and working at home and different cities across the country. Trying to master the thought of living in, Kansas City and working in higher economies, thinking I'm tricking someone there from that perspective. And then, my current job, I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at Outbound AI. They are originated in Seattle, but they found me on a national search. And, one of my contingencies was I wanted to plant a flag, here in Kansas City. And so we kind of pushed Kansas City initially informally as a second location. I started hiring here. We've gotten a lot of local investors like KC Rise and Lock Capital and, several former expats from Cerner, to kind of really make Kansas City a thing. And, now it's home and work and life. And so that's, I like to say I am Kansas City at this point.
Ryan, what was the most difficult part about scaling the business in the beginning?
We still are. So I think we're right in the kind of the heat of this, and that answer might change consistently. When what we do, hence the name AI, we're competing with every single, hot dog stand out there that has put AI on it at this point, and so we really do feel we've built something novel, but you're swimming in a sea of these terms, that are competitive. And, I think that has been a struggle that we've really, overcome, over time. And, now I think we're getting close to kind of the good parts. Things are working, things are really starting to grow, and we can maybe take a little bit of a deep breath and enjoy the ride.
Okay, I have a quick question. How much pushback do you guys get, if any? Like, I guess personally, I feel like just being in kind of the tech space, not as much as you, I feel like that generation, like my generation is and older, is pushing. They're just like not going to be as adaptable to AI. They're pushing back. They're scared. How much pushback are you getting from when you have these conversations?
I mean, two ways to look at it. One is an efficacy perspective, like what are you doing with it for real world impact? And we've been extremely focused on that. And, there might be always a labor slide of things that you adjust from that perspective. And so make sure you're making the right ethical impact. And then it also needs to be applied. That applied AI is kind of a term right now. Most people don't care if you fly the problem around the moon to solve, as long as you solve it. And so really looking at really what is the use case and what are you doing, not just that I'm throwing AI on a marketing label.
Exactly. All right, Scott, are you good?
Yeah, probably not. Janet, what was the most pivotal point in your career?
Whew, man, I've been thinking about this question since y'all said you were going to ask it. So many pivotal. Honestly, since many moments, but the first one that comes to mind is when I hired my own executive coach almost 12 years ago. I finally got over my need to feel like I know what I'm doing. And I hired my own coach, which radically transformed my life. Anytime I've taken a risk to ask for help, invest in myself, that was big. I remember when I hired my first coach and I was coming off of a divorce and I was in debt and I had hit a ceiling in every career that I had started in my 20s. And I hired this coach because I was like, this coach is going to change my life and it's going to be great. It's going to help me achieve my dreams. And back then, instead of Zoom, it was phone calls. So I had a call scheduled with him at 1:00 and 10 minutes before I was like, am I supposed to call him or is he supposed to call me? And I knew I had signed an agreement saying I'm committed to being on time for all my coaching calls. So at about 1:02, I call my coach and he says, hi, are you aware that you have a broken commitment? And immediately all my defensiveness, all my like survival needs popped up, and I didn't share any of my honest feelings with him, but I said, well, I didn't know if I was supposed to call you or you were supposed to call me. And he said, well, great. How could you have found out? And I said, oh, well, I guess I could have reached out to you ahead of time. And he said, well, why didn't you? And it's the answer that I gave him that to this day transformed my life. It was the beginning of transformation for me, which was, well, I didn't want to look like I didn't know what I was doing. And then he asked, where else does that show up in your life? Which is the age-old coaching question. And that question just rocked me because it disrupted just my belief. And I realized that showed up everywhere in my life. And I was afraid to look bad. I was afraid to look like I didn't know what I was doing. And it was showing up everywhere. And that was simply because I was 2 minutes late. That coach in that first 5 minutes immediately exposed a blind spot that I hadn't seen for at least a decade of my adult career. So I knew then and there, like, okay, I want to do this for other people. I want to be able to fiercely advocate for leaders, for their teams, for their cultures, to help people get out of their own way and explore what they're capable of. And so that was a huge pivotal moment for me in my career.
Real quick, did he do that on
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know he did. He had me sign an agreement saying I'm committed to being on time for my calls. So I committed to being on time. And so he asked me like, hey, are you aware that you have a broken commitment? So there are different ways to do it. Different coaches do it in different ways. But for me, it was hugely monumental for the rest of my life.
I love that.
Yeah.
I told somebody today, this is just a side note while Scott's trying to figure out his internet. I told somebody today, if you guys have never watched the video UOU, it's an Eric Thomas video. I knew he's about to fall especially. He talks about if you don't keep those commitments to yourself, there's a big piece in that. And so that kind of reminds me of that. I love that. Yes. All right, Ryan. I'm not going to put the 3-minute clock up for you because it'll cover your face. I don't know what's going on with the internet today, but what was the most pivotal point in your career?
There's probably two. One very early in my career, after I gotten out of kind of like the school jobs, bartending, things like this. I was lucky enough to join a startup in Kansas City called Data File Technologies, and the CEO, Janine Akers, was probably one of the bigger mentors I've had in my career, and a really good story. They grew to, I think I was employee 5 to several hundred people and had a fantastic exit. But I was hired in a complete overhire, hey, we're going to grow the business and we're going to hire a couple sales reps. And I had this skill of being poor at 25 where I could starve everyone out for weekend money, and fell into the only sales reps. And I called myself the head of sales. She didn't call me that, but at that point, but it was complete trial by fire, put myself in boardrooms I didn't belong in, barely knew how to run Microsoft Office at this point, was printing out presentations and taking them with me on site. And, sounds like a great story now. It was incredibly sloppy at the time. And I started hiring and kind of fell into that role a little bit, backwards in my career. And that shaped a lot, and then I'd say right now is a very similar story. My current CEO, Stead Burwell, hired me as chief revenue officer. It is so hard to get these levels, without putting pelts on the wall, but also someone, being smart enough or foolish enough to give you the opportunity. And this is like the next version I hope I can make of that story. You know what I mean? We go and do these amazingly cool things, and then it becomes the story I tell in this podcast, a couple of years from now.
I do have a quick question. Is chief revenue officer at your company? Because what I'm learning in my agency, I don't know if it's just a thing in the past 15 years, right, since the internet came up, but a lot of these old like CMO, I can tell you 8 different titles for CMO now. It just depends on the industry. In your industry, is chief revenue officer, are you more the sales or more of a more holistic CFO type? Which side?
It's definitely more the former, and it's a pretty dress on the sales guy or the sales leader, and it can encompass a lot of different things, but really growth is really what it's going to be more so. No one's trusting me with the P&L, beyond the deals that I'm closing and bringing in.
Right.
Yeah.
You have the personality for that. So I was just trying to figure out if I was making sure I was on the right step. But I have seen the chief revenue officer in more of that. They already had a CFO, so they somehow dressed that up. So I think it really just depends on business now. Hi, Scott. Welcome back.
Yeah, just the computers want me to restart, but I'm like, no way. Bestway International and Evardy Construction needs us.
We got 10 minutes. We can make this. We got the clock going. It's been a day. All right. It's a holiday week, guys, though, right? We've only got a couple more days. All right, Janet. First of all, halfway through the year today, beginning halfway through the year. If you guys don't do this, I highly suggest it. Me and one of my best friends that a lot of you guys follow, Cher Jones on LinkedIn, we get on at the beginning of the quarter on the 1st, and we do our goals for the quarter. And we check in on our annual goals, and we do our monthly goals together. So find an accountability partner and do that. But halfway through the year, so it's a great time to ask this question. How are your 2025 goals going? And how can the Kansas City community help you?
Okay, I'm going to list off a few here. So 2 somewhat personal, but they're still relevant. We are selling a piece of land in the West Side North area. It's both commercial and residential. It's listed. It's on 17th and Jefferson. So if anyone wants that, we're looking to sell that because we're looking to buy a house, hopefully a lake house this year in Kansas City. We're really putting our roots down in Kansas City, and we're very excited about that. Two, I mentioned earlier that we've, in the last 8-9 years, we've gone from 5 coaches to 45 less coaches, but we have a goal to add more people. And so we have coaches all over the U.S., various cities, Canada as well. But there are only 2 of us in Kansas City right now. And I would love it if there are some solo coaches out there who would love to join our team, learn how to become a meta performance coach. And if there are any coaches out there who are interested either, and these are the common challenges we get from people that come interested to work with us, which is one, hey, I've been doing it alone for a long time and I'm lonely. I want to do it with a team. I want to do it in community. 2, maybe someone's like, hey, I feel like I'm constantly going up and down and I want some consistency in my revenue, or I want to sharpen my skills. I want to add more tools to my tool belt. So Jason, our founder and CEO, he wrote this book, and I was privileged to be able to contribute in some small ways, but this is our book, and it's probably backwards on your screen. It's called Beyond High Performance. It's what great coaches know about how the best get better. We're super proud of this book. I think it's great. It mixes storytelling and research, and it's if you're a coach, if you're a CEO, if you're on an executive team, and you're wanting to upgrade your leadership skills, this is an incredible book. Or if you're a coach who's ready to take your practice to the next level of the video game, please come talk to me. Uh-oh, I can't hear you.
I'm going to give you a tip here, and it can be for your whole audience. It's because I keep muting myself while I'm trying to figure out this stuff. There's a thing called Global Entrepreneurship Week. It opened up this week. It closes on the 10th, so it's a short window. But you can apply to do a session, a speaking session, and you can do it something in the coaching space and get in front of all those individual coaches that are just trying to learn. And that'd be a great way to network in Kansas City and maybe eventually pull some new people.
I love that. Thank you, Erin.
Absolutely. So it is KC Sourcing.
Okay.
Erin's spoken at it a couple times.
I've keynoted it. I haven't spoken at it since I keynoted it. It's been a minute. But we do a lot of clients in that and stuff. All right, Ryan, how is your 2025 going, and how can the Kansas City community help you get there?
It's going good. I'm a goal guy as well. I annoy my wife and others and force goals that might feel self-serving to others at times on it. But I also, on a personal goal, am trying to kind of, side hustle and buy our first VRBO. That's been something that's on the docket that we're trying to do. But almost everything is entirely focused around outbound right now. Like it's almost like my 2026, 2027 goals will be met if I can knock out for outbound what's happening in 2025. And as an AI startup, we're in a race right now for not only our own revenue, but funding and things like that. And I'll be a little cryptic just because we'll have press releases. So keep an eye on us probably, over the next, 6 months kind of relating to these various topics. But I'll put it as, if we do our job, and really growing like we've set up to grow over the next couple months, we're going to be in a really, really good spot. In terms of like what Kansas City can do to help, Kansas City's already been great. Like I mentioned, KC Rise and Locke and some of the, we've got a multitude of individual investors that are highly connected in the healthcare community, healthcare technology community. I think the next step is we really need to start adding Kansas City clients, and we're a little bit specific. What we do is really meant for the big, and so it is going to be the major hospital systems, the very, very large physician groups. And so there's not as many always. It's hey, do you know this person, that person? And we've got some great avenues from Kansas City, but I think that'd probably be my wish, is how do we planted a flag here, I'm on here barking about how this is a Kansas City shop and everything we're doing and we're hiring. we need to start giving back to the Kansas City healthcare community, and what we do helps. It lowers the cost of care. It improves satisfaction. There's a ton we can do in trade. And, so that'd probably be my ask. If you're out there, and you're listening, give me a holler.
Where do you think your work ethic and drive comes from?
I mean, on the topic of goals, like it's, I don't want to completely center this around Ryan's coin operated, but I think there's degrees of that, and the coins might be different, as you get older in life. You've got kids, and I've got a very amazing, expensively beautiful wife that I've got, goals around, making her smile. And, I think happiness and those types of things drive from it. And, as a kid, I was, active in sports, not very good, but, that competition, is transposed into different, elements now, just to, keep that drive going.
It's an amazing drive.
I love that. All right. Both you guys, people can reach out to you on LinkedIn. Is that a good place to reach out?
LinkedIn is great.
Perfect. All right. Reach out to Janet and Ryan on LinkedIn. I want to thank both of you guys for being our guests. It's not usually set up like this, so it's throwing me a little bit off. Thank you so much to Scott for being a co-host for half the time. I'm just playing with you. I'm just totally better.
Darn Leewood.
Poor Leewood. It must be that rough neighborhood.
It's rough.
Thank you to Bestway International and Evardy Construction for sponsoring us. Thank you so much for watching us. We will see you same time, same place next week, and have a wonderful 4th of July. And happy Canada Day if you're watching from Canada.